He's based in Doha. He's a registered nurse and also a flight nurse paramedic. He's also a certified educator instructor, a certified Ironman coach. He's a FITQ triathlon coach and a former president of FITQ. He's also a triathlon race organizer and race director, a 4 times Ironman finisher and a 70.3 9 times finisher. He's a podium finisher also in 70.3 Davao and a first place in 70.3 Subic. He's a both qualifier and 70.3 and Ironman World Championships in Kona. He's also both finished those with a nice time. Guys, let's all welcome the FITNOKEOLA head coach, Coach Jaynald Canaria. Coach, welcome back.
Yes, thank you very much. A pleasant good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everybody. Magandang umaga, gabi po sa inyong lahat. For and on behalf of the FITQ committee, webinar committee, thank you again for inviting me here. And also thank you Pressworks for that accolades or some impressive introduction. Those are the achievements in my own small way. Thank you very much. So let me just share to you my slide. Fantastic, just hold on. You just hold on, it was open already. Okay, yes, once again, a pleasant good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to all. My name is Jay Canaria. I'll be presenting to you a triathlon topic entitled Structuring Your Triathlon Training Plan. This topic is designed especially for those people or those athletes who don't have any coach, or who don't have, because what I'm gonna be explaining to you as a coach and as an athlete also on how to structure your training plan. Okay, what are the things to be, or what are the objectives to be discussed here, or the objectives of this presentation? We will discuss the importance of structuring your triathlon training plan. What are the factors to consider in developing training plan? We will define what is periodization, the different types and models available. What are the 3 cycles of periodization? These are all related to structuring your training plan. What are the guidelines and factors to consider in creating your weekly training sessions? You know, this is a very big topic, but I will try to discuss it for everybody's level, wherein everybody can understand, right? So structured training, we call it. What is the importance of having a structured training? But before that, I just want to greet everybody 122nd Philippine Independence Day to all. So it is always with pride and honor to carry the flag, cross the finish line with our Philippine flag. So happy Independence Day, Philippine Independence Day. Okay, structuring training plan for endurance athletes. Usually, what is the purpose? Our main goal is to looking forward to achieve performance goal. And the best part, or the most important part, is minimizing the risk of injury. Okay, if you're setting up as a coach or as an athlete, if you're setting up a training plan, you need to identify first the goals, or setting up your goals. And what are your goals? Is this your first race? Because the training plan will be different. So, or do you want a better bike result? Or do you have a better run split, especially for those intermediate and advanced athletes? Right? Run split itself, as simple as me, I may, for example, in my own experience, I may have improved my overall time, but I was not happy on my run leg. So these are some of the details that you need to ask yourself when structuring a training plan, especially as a coach or as an athlete. Otherwise, your goal is to improve swimming. First time 70.3, and he will ask you I want to become a podium finisher coach. So let's set the goal realistic. I want to join the world championship. Depends. So the training plan varies or depends on the specific goals that you want. Okay. And the training goals or the plan itself should be, we call it the athlete-centric training plan. It's an athlete-specific or athlete-focus, right? I myself, as a coach, I need to engage the athlete on how to achieve his goals, his or her goals. So we need to plan together. I want to give him or her the responsibility of the consequences just in case there will be some sessions that will be missed, right? And I want her or to understand what are the consequences. Okay, these are the factors to consider when developing training plan. Okay, first and foremost, if someone will come to you and come to me as a coach, I need to ask, what is your most important race of the year? Usually, in my experience, an athlete will approach you and coach, I have 6 races, 6 local races, or let's say 3 international races and 6 local races, as many as that. But we need to identify which one is the most important race, because it will all build up in terms of planning, preparation towards your most important race. Okay, another one, athletes' availability in schedule. Sometimes athlete will tell you, coach, I only have 3 days to train because I'm very busy. You know, we are all age group athletes, and we have our own lives. We are busy in our own family and our work. So limited time. So I as a coach, I need to find time. I need to structure a training plan that will suit or fit my patients or my athletes' availability and schedule. Experience level, you need to know as well. Where are you at? Are you a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced athlete? Same as well as physiological makeup or the baseline. What is your current endurance or fitness level? History-wise, you have never done any sport in your life versus the other athlete. Yes, I have been engaged in the sport since I was in the elementary. So most likely he will have a better baseline. So athletes limiter, like the injuries. You need to know what are the injuries of your athlete or yourself. Because based on these limitations or limiters, I need to program the training plan. I remember one athlete, when he had this injury, he was inactive for 2 years. He had an injury, so I did not let him run for more than 1.5 months. Right? I did let him walk, but never run. Then afterwards, I developed slowly the progression of the training session for him. Then afterwards, he was running. Race performance. What does the athlete wants to achieve? I mentioned this one in the first slide. Okay. What is the importance of structuring the training plan? Whether you will be participating in local races like sprint distance from Olympic distance, or you want to do your first 70.3 Ironman race locally within the region or within Europe or Asia, or you want to do your first full Ironman distance in Germany, or maybe you're getting bored, you don't have the financial, you just want to run 100 kilometers in all around Qatar. So everybody needs to have a training plan. It should be structured in a way that you can monitor the progression, the fatigue, and the stress. Okay, having said, what is the athlete's A race? You need to prioritize races. The most important race of the day, for example, if he is preparing for a full Ironman, then that will be his first race or A race, right? And the other races will be categorized as P and C. Choose the race that you will be participating, especially if you're a first timer, right? You need to know what are the conditions in the race venue. What is the heat, whether you will be swimming on an open water, in a lake, or how about the bike? I remember first timer, she asked me, I want to do my first 70.3 race in somewhere in UK. And when we look at the elevation, it's 3,500 meters. So it was his first race, and she was planning to participate that one. But when I look at the bike leg, it was 3,500 meters. So we did with a limited time. So we discussed about it. We had some options. So time allotted in prep for air race. Setting up goals, whether you are beginners, intermediate, and advanced. Usually beginners, these are the athletes that don't have any experience at all. They haven't engaged in any endurance sports. Intermediate are those people that somehow had a history of endurance sports, but they went they lie low for 1 year or how many months. Advanced, these are the people who race three international races a year, 3 A races a year. Okay, delivering the plan. So now, because of the technology, it's either you can use the basic one with the paper and pencil, or you can utilize the training peaks, which is a good training platform, which is very useful for both coaches and athlete. Numerical or contextual. You know, there are some athletes that they appreciate more just the numbers. If you will write down the specific program to that athlete, they cannot understand. If you write down contextual type, you will summarize it. They don't like that one. While some of my athletes, all you need to do 5 by 10 by 4, they will understand that one. So it depends upon. So what I'm saying is you have options right now, whether you are coaching or you are you don't choose any platform like Training Peaks. You can still go to the basic like pencils and pen or notebook. Okay, structured training plan. Having said, structured training plan leads to gain fitness, right? And achieve the race goals without the risk of overtraining and injury. The main goal and objective is to create a system and a structured approach towards progression to include a season of training and racing. Actually, is also during the transition phase. Okay, what is periodization? Periodization is a big topic, right? This is an endless topic, especially if we correlate it to triathlon sports. I'm not the subject matter expert for this topic. But what I'm trying to tell is I'm just basing all the information that I will be discussing to you more on science, available science and text in my small experience as a coach and my small experience as an athlete. This is an endless topic, actually. Let's define what is periodization. Specifically, focused training periods. Focused training periods. I'm emphasizing the keywords designed to prepare athletes for peak performance during prioritized time frames. Peak time frames. Okay. Another one definition: to reach competitive level, right? Performance of variety during training periodization. Strategy have been applied, varying to. Can just hold on because it's blocking the. Can you see it from there, Coach B? Can you see the slides?
Yes.
Okay then.
Right now, the slides
Being
you are
covered
in
with-
the what is periodization. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
working,
yeah.
Coach Jay. It's okay.
No, the view. I'm talking about the view. Optimize screen for share video clip. Okay then. So periodized training works on the concept of overload and adaptation by stressing the body over time allowing it to recover, then stressing it again until athletes can gradually gain fitness. Or a simple definition that you can find in Webster Dictionary, division into periods or phases. As simple as that. This is, you
Coach
just need to divide. Yes.
Coach Jay, kindly adjust your setting because
Yeah.
right now,
Let me, yeah, it's being covered. Let me just focus the setting. How do I adjust the setting, Coach Bernard?
you can just take out the shared screen and then restart it again. It's okay.
Okay. Stop share. Let me just adjust the setting.
We're talking about the yeah, it's okay now.
Now it's okay. I
Yeah.
think it's still there. Just hold on.
Yeah, you're good to go.
Okay.
Just what I'm mentioning earlier, you're talking about how big periodization is a
Yes.
topic is. So it
Oh.
actually also can cover the S&C or strength and conditioning periodization for your triathlon. So this is really a good topic to discuss for us, so that we will be able to at least plan, especially for those people who don't have coaches, to at least
yes,
have
who
a
are
basic
deciding.
knowledge.
So yeah, to simplify the definition, you just need to divide or put structure, put some pieces, or put some blocks in terms of your training. You cannot, I wanted to post or put the period of Lionel Sanders. I'm sure everybody knows about Lionel Sanders. In all the pictures or videos that you will see, his photo, all you can see is just max out. Facial grimace, max out. You cannot do that one every single day. So you need to know, you need to plan for your training plan. So let's discuss about periodization. So some of the statements from well-known or celebrity from the triathlon sport. From Joe Frail, the basic tenet of periodization is the frequent and regular key training sessions must progressively simulate or stimulate the athlete's unique and expected stage of the race as training approach. Frequent, regular, progressive. Those are the key words. From Mark Allen, classic periodization, he's using the classic periodization model wherein the base, the tempo, the high intensity, and the tapers. So the athlete need to start workouts that become like a race. Like, need to start the workouts that become like a race. The race should not be a huge stress on the race day. You should have planned for that stress that stimulate the race day. Another one, nonlinear periodization from Troy Jacobson, Ironman Master Coach. Actually, this is this is the type of the model that I'm using in my athletes. Uses all energy system, but each one will have a different focus. Even though during the aerobic pace, a little bit of tempo or threshold pace, but the primary focus is on aerobic development and technique. Let me just give a simple example. All right, because for some coaches or some model, if they say endurance, you'll be running in zone 2, you do run zone 2. If your schedule is zone 2 alone, you do zone 2 alone. But what Troy Jacobson is incorporating in his training program is he tried to incorporate those 3 energy systems, like the aerobic, the glycolytic system, or the flight and flight. So like, for example, I'll just give you a simple training session. If I'm giving a recovery ride for my athletes, at least in between, I'm doing a 4-minute or 4x1, right? We're in 4-minute easy recovery ride. But at the same time, I will try to give him some 30 seconds or 1 minute of hard effort. So this is incorporating 2 energy systems. Similarly, in long ride or in long run. For example, if I'm doing an 80-kilometer ride session, right? Zone 2, aerobic long ride. Your goal is to, typical periodization. Your goal is to do a zone 2 ride. But what I'm doing using this model is he will try to incorporate, maybe a little bit of 5 minutes zone 4, and the rest he will do zone 2. So he's incorporating this one. And I found it very useful in a personal experience. I found it very useful to use this approach for, ship workers. I have athletes who are working on a shifting basis, morning, afternoon, and night. I remember I have one athlete who had 5 days of night shift. He's a nurse. How can you work if you're doing 5 days, 5 straight night shift? So in between, this is my approach. So instead of losing track, so at least at the end of the day, we monitor the stress score, right? Another one is reverse periodization by Brent Sutton. I will apply this scenario right now because we are in the pandemic season. Look at what his statement regarding periodization, wherein he's using reverse periodization. We don't do base building session like slow miles or building base. During winter, I will say during pandemic, we start to work on building short stuff first. In this time, we do less hours and more quality, which is conducive to healthier immune system. He has entirely a different approach, but it is effective. So nobody can challenge him because he has produced good athletes, professional athletes, and fast athletes. Okay, this is just to give you some idea about the model that we're using. This one, Medvedev periodization model, proposes that training should gradually progress towards from low intensity and large volume of work to high intensity and low volume of work. What happens here? Look at the graph. As the volume decreases, the intensity increases. So simple as that. Okay. Another one is the general adaptation syndrome. This is where we base all of the periodization models are basing on this theory. Because what happened here in the supercompensation theory, the body will be trained and stimulus which is above, or the body need to be given a stimulus or stress which is above and beyond what the body is normally encountering, right? For example. And so that this stress will give stress to the musculoskeletal system, the nervous system, and endocrine system. Anyway, I'll just discuss this one in a simple explanation. So what he's trying to say here regarding this supercompensation theory, the adaptation, like the fitness, the physiological process of adaptation happens during recovery, wherein it allows, when you allow your body to recover, then that's the time it will adaptation will happen and it will bounce back again stronger. So in a simple explanation, the reason why I'm explaining this one, as we go on later, you will know what is or why do we need to have some recovery days or recovery weeks. Okay, 3 cycles of periodization: the macro cycle, the mesocycle, or we call it the training blocks, and the last one is the microcycle. I'll try to discuss one by one. Macro cycle, we call it. Usually the macro cycle, that is the entire calendar days that you will be preparing for your A race. For example, if I will have a big race, or if I will have a race sometime in December, so if I will start training right now, June to December is the whole macro cycle. Okay, it's the whole actual calendar days, that, right? So if you have 3 big races in each year or in a year, Like for example, I have my experience last year. I have 3 A races. I have 1 A race in March, 170.3 in March, then 170.3 in Subic, then 1 World Championship in September. So technically speaking, I have 3 macro races in macro cycle in 2019. Okay, so the macro cycles composes of preparation, competition, and transition. Okay, mesocycle is a training block, as discussed. It's a training block. It's either you use the 3:1 cycle or the 2:1. I'll discuss later as we go along. 3:1 pertains to weeks. 3 weeks of progressively increasing duration. Then suddenly on the 4th week will be the recovery week. That's why we call it 3:1. I'll explain later. The microcycle is the shortest training cycle, typically lasting a week. The average one that we're doing is the actual 7 days, from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So this is what we call the macro cycle. Okay, just bear with me, I'll discuss it. Okay, periodization cycle, I discussed about the macro cycle. I already mentioned about the mesocycle, which is the training block, and the microcycle. Let me just review again what is macrocycle. Having said, the macrocycle is the actual total days of that compasses the preparation, the competition, and the transition phase. Having said, if you will be racing sometimes in October or December, right? The whole month from June, July, August, September, October will be your macro cycle. Then the mesocycle are the training blocks. The mesocycle are blocks like in this model I use 2:1. Look at this one. This box represents weeks. So mesocycle block of mesocycle 1 we opt 2:1 cycle, meaning 2 weeks of progressively increasing intensity, duration and volume, then 1 week of recovery week. Same again, you will go to mesocycle 2 until you reach the mesocycle 7 or the last mesocycle blocks or training blocks prior to your race day. And the macrocycle are the weeks or the days. Okay, I'll try to discuss or give example as we go along. Again, macrocycle is the total or the actual calendar days or the days, the duration for your entire race. The mesocycle is the training block, whether you do 2:1 or 3:1. Each mesocycle, I want to go back. Each mesocycle or each training block has specific objectives. So in each mesocycle, in each training block, the coach has specific objectives. Depends upon which phase. Whether you are only in the preparation phase, you are in the specific preparation phase, and you are already in the pre-competition phase. For example, in the preparation phase, you focus more on this one, mesocycle 1, mesocycle 2, right? Mesocycle 3. In the general preparation phase, the focus is more on aerobic, improving your muscles and technique. While in the specific preparation, what I'm doing here, I'll be focusing more on the muscular endurance and the speed, some speed. Then in the pre-competition, this is after identifying all the tests. Remember, I had discussed last time the tests, I have identified all the specific speed, then we will try to practice them in the pre-competition phase and the competition phase as we go on. This is just an example, right? It goes to different pace and it progresses. Look at this one. For example, this is a training volume. from day one, third week. In this example, we use the 2:1 mesocycle week, where in 2 weeks of progressively increasing volume, then on the third week, we recover. Then again, 4, 5, then on the 6th week, we recover. So mesocycle. What is the purpose of mesocycle? In this graph, I mentioned about 3:1 training block, right? First week, second week, third week. So for those who don't have any coach or not acquiring any coach, so now you will have an idea. This is just a basic explanation. If you do a long ride on first week, for example, 2 hours, right? So my next long ride, in order to progress, is I will do 3 hours on the second week. I'm trying to explain it for those who don't have many coaches. Then on the third week, I will progress again and increase my volume. I may go to 3.5 hours and 4 hours. But on the fourth week, I need to recover. We call it the unloading week. Remember the super compensation theory? In order for body to recover or to gain, improve his fitness, he needs to recover. I'm just showing to you this presentation. 3:1, progressively increasing volume and number of hours. Then on the fourth week, you need to make some adjustment. So mesocycle can be done is either 3:1, 3 weeks of loading and 1 week of loading, and another one you can even do 2 weeks of loading, then 1 week of unloading. We'll have an example of that. So I'm not telling you to remember specific numbers or certain number of hours here, but that's just to give you an idea. This is just a simple example that on first week, for example, he's biking 2.5, 2.75 on the third week. Then on the second week is 2.75. Then on the third week is 3 hours. Then on the fourth week, you need to go back on the 2.5. What I want you to understand here in this graph is, if you can see the line itself, as you can see here on the first week, you're loading. On the second week, you're loading. On the third week, you are loading. Then automatic on the fourth week, you are unloading. I call it the loading weeks, 3:1, progressively increasing volume, duration. Then on the fourth week, you need to give time to recover. Same as well as we progress on 5th, 6th, 7th week, the graph is going up, right? Especially if you are preparing for 70.3 Ironman or full Ironman distance, then you need to do unloading weeks, so on and so forth. Okay, this is just the explanation or simple explanation with regard to the graph, that you need to have some rest in between, and afterwards you need to give some you need to progress again, going up until you simulate or meet the certain number of hours or volume required for the specific race. I'll give you some table later so that you will have an idea.
Coach Jay.
Yes, go ahead.
I would just like to remind the participants that you can have your questions for Coach Jay. He still have 5 minutes to go to discuss his topic.
Yes.
You can just write it down. Coach Jay, regarding on this table.
Mm-hmm.
So if I consider myself, like, say, for example, I don't have any experience on triathlon, this would be my first event. So first week, I have a good load week. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to follow unloading week on the third or fourth week.
Yes.
But then again, I have some
commitment,
miscues, and I have some problems, and I missed the 5th and 6th week. I didn't able to train. So what is your considerations on this, and what can the beginners do about it if they miss a big chunk of a training, like maybe
Yes.
1 or 2 weeks out?
So that simple explanation of reversibility, I will just try. I didn't discuss it, but it falls under the principle of training, which is reversibility. if I may explain, if stress is not elicited frequently enough, right, the adaptation will be lost. So meaning you are there on the track already, then suddenly you miss 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, and you even mentioned 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
Right, Coach
Yes.
B? And that
Yes.
adaptation may be lost. There are some recommendation here, for example, if it is 6 days, or what will I recommend is simple. Just go back on the last day that you have missed. Then from there, you start all over again. That's just a basic one. What I don't want athletes to do is I will compensate and go back again as per plan in my schedule and start the training. No, that's a no, right? Because there are some consideration that we are adjusting as a coach. For example, if you miss it more than 6 days, what will I do is I will try to give you 3-4 days aerobic, then 1 day of, I will give you some few days of just purely aerobic or zone 2. I will not let you go back as per plan that, for example, I should be doing zone 4, zone 5 as of this time. No. So depends upon how many days. So having said, if it is more than 6 days or a week, what will I do? I will make an adjustment. The first 3 to 4 days when you come back will be purely aerobic. Then if I will add additional or short intensity or high intensity, I will just incorporate it in a shorter time. For example, on the 5th day, what will I do? I will give you some high intensity, but shorter time, just to let your muscles go back into the rhythm. And because the worst part there is you are prone to injury. If you'll go back again and bounce back. No, on my 28 days or week, it says here I need to do zone 4 for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. No. That's why I discourage my athlete that if you miss 1 or few days, do not compensate, because that's what usually the athletes will do. I will make two sessions to compensate. That's a no. You will be you're risking yourself for injury. Okay? Creating your macrocycle and mesocycle. See, just like what I said, depends upon how busy you are, whether you want to use a 3:1 cycle, right? Usually the 3:1 cycle is designed for seasoned athlete, those highly trained athletes, because this is very taxing to the body, wherein they need to wait for 3 weeks before they will have their recovery. So this is designed for elite, the pros, and highly trained and seasoned athlete at some level, intermediate athlete. And this is the macro cycle or the training block designed for people who have or who has the time to train, right? And who has less commitment. But somehow, if you're busy, you can do the 2:1 cycle, right? For example, it doesn't mean that you're busy. It still depends upon the status of your athlete. For example, remember the first athlete that I mentioned, he came back from an injury. He did not do anything for more than two years. There's no way I'm going to put him back on 3:1 because it will be too stressful for him to wait for 3 weeks before I will give him recovery. So I started with 2:1 cycle, 2 weeks of progressively increasing, then automatic recovery. Then afterwards, somewhere along the competition, I put him under 3:1. So you can make some adjustment. And for the most busiest person in the world, you can do 1:1. Okay? The most busiest person or athlete that you will encounter, 1:1. I remember I have an athlete, he's a reporter, right? He can only train for what? 3 days in a week, sometimes 4 days maximum. Okay, but I use this pattern. So what I'm trying to say here, you can incorporate, you can combine, depends upon the client's abilities, status, physical injuries, or limitations. Again, on my athlete, I started with 2:1 cycle. In the middle, I changed. I made it 3:1. So you have the option and coach, the leeway as a coach. Okay. Few more minutes. Just some macro cycle guidelines. This is just some guidelines when creating your weekly session. Okay. First one is follow a heavy volume. Follow a heavy volume day with a lighter volume day. I'll give you an example. Follow an overload session with a recovery session. Next, number 3, avoid training that stresses the same energy system on successive days for the same discipline. For example, you do zone 4 today, run. I will not give you zone 4 again tomorrow on same discipline, which is run. You may do it on different discipline, but not on the same discipline. Approximately 50% of the training should be recovery activity, so that and schedule at least one rest or active recovery day in every macro cycle or in a weekly schedule. Let's try to scrutinize or review this one. This is just a simple example. This is a 1 microcycle week, right? Because it will vary. I did not mention specific the timing, right? The specific pace, because it can be applied different in all phases of the macro cycle. The red color represent hard session. The green color represent easy, and the yellow color represent recovery. First question, do I give, right? Schedule at least one rest day or active recovery day in microcycle. Did I give it? I have given one less day. Second one, right? Follow a heavy volume day with a lighter volume day. Remember this one, you cannot see it from here. On the long ride, after doing the long run, automatic the next day, Monday, I did a rest day. And I do not mix red, or for example, this is hard session on the run. The next day, I cannot give him another hard session on the run. I can give him on the swim, but not on the run. So this is just an example of a weekly session that we're giving to my athlete, or just an example of weekly schedule. The details, usually I'm plotting it in training peaks, specific zones or intensity, but this is just an overview. So how to plot a microcycle or a weekly schedule. Again, do not do the same intensity on the same discipline on the succeeding days. You can do it on a different discipline and have some rest, recovery in between. Okay? Oh, another one, if you don't record the graph, for example, as a coach or as an athlete, if you're using you're a high tech already, you're a techie guy, you can just use the training peaks. In the training peaks, it gives you an idea how many TSS, weekly TSS that I need to do. How many, if you don't know how to read TSS, well, I will just base on weekly training hours, says here, minimum and maximum training hours for a specific discipline. For example, in weekly training, weekly hours, in half distance, I can have an average of 10 hours and high as 20 hours. Same as well in full distance, minimum of 12, at the same time high of 30. Then the TSS level if you are using training peaks. Likewise, the target CTL if you are using training peaks. So what I'm trying to tell here, we coaches, every time we are plotting a training schedule or training session, we don't just give it based on because I like it. We base, for all the coaches, I'm sure you're agreeing with me, we need to plan, right? Not just for today, not for next week. We need to plan. That's why we're asking them what are the races, incoming races that he or she will have for the next 6 months, 7 months, and 8 months. Okay, so this is another one, week. In terms of week or weeks, right? For beginners, if you're planning to do an Ironman 70.3 for beginners, please do not let your coach become a magician, wherein a beginner will ask us for 10 weeks, coach, I want to do 70.3. I only have 10 weeks or 8 weeks. Okay? For at least if you're intermediate or advanced, we can do that. And for us coaches, we would like to have more, especially for the first timer, to give more time or a lot more time in order for the body to fully recover and minimize the risk of injury. And this is just a table and recommendation. So we follow guidelines, but it still depends upon the level of the athletes. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. Do you have any question, Coach B?
Wonderful explanation of periodization, Coach Jay. So
I try to explain it in the simplest term.
everybody will be agreeing that all of us, coaches and regular athletes alike, we are always looking forward on race day. The first time that we train, the first day of training, our mind is already on the race day and how excited we are on the race day. I believe that the things that you've discussed about periodization is on its simplest way will give us a good plan on how to reach the race day fresh and stronger.
Yes.
It's basically about loading and unloading. So that's a very good information that you've mentioned to us.
Anyway, if you have any questions, just send email to me personal email. I have my Facebook account and my Instagram. You want to discuss the details? Just send email to me.
and we will be having some discussions after this, Coach Jay. So
okay. Thank you very much.
The guys will have some questions for you.
Sure. Anytime, Coach.
President Walks, if you can already introduce our third speaker. Very nice